On the eve of the first of his criminal trials, Donald Trump is getting some surprise good news in the form of polls. New polling from the Wall Street Journal shows that Donald Trump is now leading in 6 of the 7 key swing states, regardless of whether RFK Jr. is on the ballot. And that is kind of the new big wild card, but we're seeing some evidence. Bear in mind, you might say, well, Trump had been leading in the swing states. Sure, he was. Following the State of the Union, though, Joe Biden saw sort of a resurgence. And depending on which poll you look at, the picture can look a little bit different. But the reason that we want to jump into these is not just because it's swing states, but also you have the RFK Jr. factor, and they have a breakdown across different policy areas. And that is the part that I find most interesting. But first, I do want to show you in the 3-way race. So this is with RFK Jr. in it. North Carolina, Trump is up by 8. Arizona has him up by 5. Nevada by 4. Pennsylvania by 3. Georgia by 3. Michigan by 2. And Wisconsin is the sole state amongst those where Biden is up by 3 right now. And so that's with RFK Jr. on the poll. Now, we're gonna need a lot more polls to really see where the support is being drawn from when he's there. And it might not be the same based across different states or whatever. But as of right now, it looks like his presence on the poll is helping Trump in Georgia by 2 points, North Carolina by 1 point, but in Michigan, he's losing 1 point thanks to RFK Jr. In Wisconsin, he's losing 3 points thanks to RFK Jr. Before we continue with the story, we depend on members to keep on going. Don't wait, click join now on YouTube. It is not a massive change regardless. And it's kind of in line with past elections. There generally is 1 to 2 notable third-party candidates that are gonna get a couple percentage points. He's filling that role right here, but it's interesting that he's helping or hurting depending on what the state is. And so that's the meta picture of the swing states. We'll turn to the different policies in a moment, but Sharon, I don't know if we've really broken down polls before. I understand that some people think that it's premature, and I respect the hell out of that position, but I'm scared and I like putting numbers to my fear. What do you think about the most recent Wall Street Journal polls?
I like to obsess over them, actually, and I'm having some problems with it too. It's like tread lightly here. Although I did allow myself to be talked into what some of the pundits are saying. Not just that it's within the margin of error, blah, 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 but you don't want to peak too early. And that hit the athlete in me many years ago, okay? But we would peak just at the right time for the state championship track meet or nationals. You don't want to peak too early because it's all downhill from there. So that's what I'm telling myself for now.
Yeah, I didn't know that you were a track athlete. That's really cool. I agree with the philosophy though. I've always been afraid of peaking too early, which is why I continue to put it off. Someday I will get to it, but for now it's in the future. In any event, yeah, that's a significant fear. And I know there's a lot of runway left. There's a lot of developments. There's the legal stuff. Trust me, I know, we follow it. There's the RNC and the DNC, hopefully will be there. There's a lot that could happen, but the stakes could not be higher. And so I think a little bit of anxiety is warranted. And thank you to everybody who, regardless of the anxiety, is staying invested in the process. Now we turn to the actual policies, and here is where it's scarier. Because Trump has a fairly big lead in this Wall Street Journal poll across a wide variety of different policies. So on the economy, he leads by 20, which makes sense. If a far larger percentage of the population are millionaires and billionaires than I thought they were. Border security, he wins by 20, despite the fact that he recently helped tank a border security bill. That was widely reported, apparently didn't cut through. Protecting democracy is one area where Joe Biden still leads by a single point. The guy who launched a coup is trailing by 1 on protecting democracy. I don't think that poll result means what it seems to mean. I think that people are responding to that with very different ideas about what democracy is, how much it matters, and what movement can be labeled in a totally fact-free fashion as being a democratic movement. I think that's just Trump supporters saying that whatever sort of proto-dictatorship he rules over is still a democracy in perhaps the North Korean fashion. But anyway, you have I was sort of joking there about Biden not leading in anything. He has a bigger lead on abortion, 12 points. So that's good. But across a wide range of other issues, inflation, mental competency, Israel, Hamas, Ukraine, all of that, he's lagging a lot. He's lagging far more on the policies than he is in the actual polls. So maybe that's weirdly good news, kind of, that it's not hurting him more than it is. But Sharon, what do you make of all this?
Form over substance. Normally we're taught that substance and these things matter. I think that we have a communication problem if you are leaning towards Biden. It's always been there, it's always been there. And it's ironic for someone they call, compassionate and someone who really knows how to lean in and help people, because the message is just garbled, or maybe it's overtaken by the other side with the megaphone and the lies. But you just don't want to get too cute with it. They're tweeting things out, cutesy fashion against Donald Trump, calling him broke Donald and these things. It's true. It's true. But the messaging has to get sharper, and it's not happening.
Yeah, look, we have been trying to keep track of the different aspects of the campaign, of Biden's campaign. So we've been showing you sort of like what the ad spends are, what policies they're focusing on. And abortion is one. We just covered an ad that the Biden campaign had put out just yesterday. And it sort of makes sense. If that's the topic that you're sort of winning on, you're really gonna wanna focus on that. And the fact that you have in states like Florida efforts to put ballot measures having to do with abortion on the ballot to get people out there to vote is important. So this is a complex thing, and not all of that is going to be, you're not going to see it reflected in the polls, but this is a lot of different areas that he needs to do more to reassure people on. Interestingly, as the economy has seen some good numbers over the past few months, he's still very much lagging in that area, including on inflation. And inflation has significantly gone down over the past few months. So there's either they need to message better, or people need more time to sort of maybe catch up to the numbers, or they need to do more to reassure those who are not being benefited by, these sort of macroeconomic shifts or whatever. Lots of people are still being left behind and they feel it. There's a lot that needs to be done across a wide range of issues, and hopefully the Dems and Biden get it together.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.